Okay, I just got back from Disney World and I have so much to tell you about that I think is going to make a world of difference during your next Disney trip too. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. I just flew back from Disney World and boy are my arms tired. Sorry, it's Bria. You have to blame her. Anyway, too early in the video for corny jokes. Let's get to why I am really here. Despite having gone to Disney World lots of times before, I still find myself learning something or having to relearn something every time I go. You know, we've done a bunch of videos like this where as soon as I get back from Disney World, I'm just like, oh, wait a minute, let me tell you about this that happened. So I'm going to pass on that knowledge to you today, just in case you need to learn or relearn the following Disney World advice too. First up, snacks. They are very fickle. Even the snacks that we've fallen head over heels for in Disney World can pull at your heartstrings. For example, let's talk about some of the snacks I ordered on this past Disney trip just because we love them. And sometimes they aren't necessarily the way you remember them. So the Wookiee cookie over at Backlot Express in Hollywood Studios, which I absolutely adore, still had that nice fluffy filling in it, but the oatmeal cookie itself tends to be pretty thick and kind of crunchy right now instead of nice, thin, and moist like it used to be. So you don't really know what you're going to get. They may change the formulation or you might just have a bad batch. See what I did there? Okay. Now before, the Wookiee cookie reminded me of a fancy oatmeal cream pie, but this time it felt like two giant crumbly cookies with icing in between, which isn't nearly as good. But then on the flip side of things, you order the Cheshire Cat Tail from Cheshire Cafe and Magic Kingdom. And even though I often hear from readers and I've heard from my team on a couple occasions that the Cheshire Cat Tail isn't as good as I think it is because when they get it, it's kind of dry and lukewarm and kind of disappointing. This time was the opposite. Took a bite out of that thing and it was just as good as I remember it being before. Warm, flaky pastry, melty chocolate, ooey gooey pink and purple icing, just utter perfection. So here's the takeaway. If we say a treat on this channel is one of our all-time favorites, but you didn't enjoy it nearly as much, that happens because Disney changes up their treats all the time, or you might be getting it at a different time of day, or maybe someone else was making it. That's why we go back to do frequent reviews of these items over and over again to make sure they're still living up to our standard and to also know if we really need to keep recommending them to you or not. And keep in mind that you have a job to do here too. When you talk about your personal experience with a certain snack, whether you agree with our opinion or disagree, you're not only helping us out so we know whether or not we need to send a reporter over that way to try out a certain snack again, but it's also super useful for other viewers on this channel who are reading over the comments too. So don't be a stranger. Ask those snack questions, give those snack opinions. Bria and I are going to be in the comments too to answer what we can, as well as build our DFB reporters Disney snack assignments for the next time they're in the parks. All right, y'all. Remember those viral videos going around online showing how wildly busy Disney Springs was on opening day of the new Disney Dreams That Soar drone show? First of all, I promise you that crowds aren't going to be that bad all summer long, except for maybe the last night that it's playing on September 2nd. And secondly, crowds are still going to be pretty thick for this nighttime display, especially on the weekends and especially for the first show of the night. But there are other places you can watch this free show over the water other than just being in the Disney Springs crowds. We have been on the ground kind of watching the show from several different places in Disney Springs, and we've actually got some blog posts that are explaining good places to watch from and bad places to watch from. But one of our secret favorites is Saratoga Springs. Now, Saratoga Springs Resort has this little pathway that leads right up to Disney Springs. And once you get to the waterfront view of the path, where you can see Disney Springs all lit up across the way, you'll have a good view of the show from a mirrored perspective. And by that, I mean everything is flipped, which means the text that's shown at the end of the show will be backwards, but literally the rest of the show won't really be impacted by this. It's also important to know that the show's audio from here will be a little muffled, but you should still be able to hear what's going on and see the show pretty crystal clear otherwise. On that first show night, while the crowds were wildly busy, Bria's family mobile ordered some food from Saratoga's quick service location, Artist Palette, took it to go so they could picnic while watching the drones fly overhead, and it was perfect. 10 out of 10, memory making, would do again. So if you want a secret tip of where to watch the show without having to pay extra, without having to fight the crowds, there you go. Now, if you're okay with paying a little extra for a picture-perfect view of the show with full audio, the Haleo restaurant actually has stunning tableside views from the back of its restaurant. Haleo now offers 2 exclusive viewing options. The first allows you into their roped-off section. To view the show, this option is offered on a first-come, first-served basis and will also allow you access to the restaurant's full bar and bathrooms, which is a huge plus for sure. This option will only accommodate standing area for viewers, and to get in, you'll need to pay $35 per person. When we spoke to cast members at the restaurant, they said they're currently encouraging viewers to arrive at least an hour prior to each showtime if they want access to this area. But if you're looking to grab a quick bite to eat while you're waiting for the show to start, Haleo has an option for that too. The restaurant has debuted a tasting experience where you get to dine on tasty light plates and apps along the restaurant's lakeside for $79. Haleo has advised that these reservations can be booked currently through OpenTable. You want to book a reservation at 7:30 p.m. for the first drone showing and at 9:30 p.m. for the second. It's also helpful to note that since the tasting experience isn't exclusively bookable on OpenTable, you'll want to make sure that lakeside seating has been requested for each reservation so the restaurant knows you're looking for the tasting experience. Okay, when I talk about stuff like this, I just have to repeat myself. I'm making these mistakes so that others don't have to, just so I can feel a little better about my own shortcomings. But last Friday, I'd already been in the parks for 4 days straight, and I needed to get from the front of Epcot over to the Riviera. So I walked that scorching hot trail all the way over to the International Gateway, the backside of the park, to access the Skyliner. And when I got there, I was told the Skyliner was currently down for maintenance, and I needed to go all the way back to the front of the park to get on a bus. Maybe on day one of my trip, that wouldn't have been such a big deal. But when I tell you that I had to sit down for a bit and just bury my face in my hands because even the idea of walking all the way up to the front of the park again was just enough to break me, yeah, not sugarcoating that. That's exactly what happened. I just had to sit and process what I was told, even though I've warned y'all time and again that Disney transportation isn't always 100% reliable. Yet, here we are, getting burned on my own advice. Anyway, after I breathed for a little bit, screwed my head back on, I weighed my options. I could either A, go back to the front of the park and do what the cast member said, take a bus to the Riviera, or B, keep on walking over to one of the nearby Epcot area hotels and have an Uber pick me up from the front lobby. In the end, I chose the free option, the bus one, because I wasn't necessarily in a hurry, and if I was going to be walking either way, I might as well walk over to the option that saved me $10 to $20. But as I walked to the front of the park, I made sure to get a drink, step into the AC for a bit, chill out, because I knew I was getting more worked up about it than I needed to. In the end, I got over to Riviera just fine. I just took a little longer than I thought, and that's why you're always going to catch me recommending that you put a little wiggle room into your schedule, just in case your transportation plans don't work out the way you thought they would. So while we're on the subject of mental, emotional, and physical health while you're in the Disney parks, let me reiterate something to you real quick. Breaks are not a suggestion. They are critical. You need to take breaks. A lot of breaks sometimes, all day long, especially during the heat. You know those Snickers commercials where one person starts acting up and the other person's like, have a Snickers because you're not you when you're hungry? Yeah, that's the vibe here, except add hunger to being hot and thirsty and tired and sore. A perfect storm like that can cause you to lash out in ways that are totally against your typical behavior. Bria's got another story for you here. One time she and her husband went to Magic Kingdom and ordered a regular pretzel with plastic cheese, and her husband accidentally dropped the cup of cheese. Honest mistake, right? Terrible, but honest. No biggie. But her husband was plagued with guilt about this, even though the custodial team was great and helped clean it up, and the cast member at the pretzel cart gave them a new cup. She said for the next half hour he kept muttering, I can't believe I did that. How could I do that to those poor cast members? As if he just committed this giant crime. Now, this was one of those days where Bria realized very quickly that maybe the mood wasn't going to automatically improve if they kept forcing themselves to have a fun time in the park. So they ended up leaving for the afternoon and grabbed some drinks and snacks at Steakhouse 71 Lounge over at the Contemporary Resort instead. And suddenly the whole cheese fiasco became a funny memory. If you ask him about it now, he'll shrug and be like, I don't know why a cup of spilt cheese almost made me cry. But that just proves the point. You're not you when all the elements are different. Not to mention, if you don't take care of yourself like you should with those frequent hydration and meal and AC breaks, you might find yourself down for the count for the rest of your trip. One time on my first day in Disney World of a long week ahead, I ended the day with this pounding headache because I was dehydrated and exhausted. And that headache stuck with me for the next 3 days. Let me tell you, the parks can be tough to do even without a giant dehydration headache, so things got pretty miserable. Now, while you can totally set the timer on your phone that'll remind you to take breaks as needed, I'd say just listen to your body. Drink before you're thirsty, eat before you're hungry, and find shade and AC on a regular basis. Don't push yourself until you're no longer feeling like yourself, because accomplishing everything on your must-do list for the day isn't nearly as important as making sure everyone in your group stays safe and healthy all trip long. Okay, so FYI, it's the summer and your phone needs some TLC as well. Often you're going to catch us talking about the importance of keeping your phone charged all day long. And I'll have you know I was prepped and ready to use my own advice this past trip. I had my portable charger, I had my charging cords, made sure my phone was all juiced up to 100% the night before. And yet, my phone still managed to shut down on me during my first Magic Kingdom day because it overheated. Now, if you're doing a lot on your phone, like using a portable charger while recording video in the 90+ degree heat, chances are your phone's going to be like, oh, no, not going to do that. And it can be an absolute pain waiting for your phone to cool down before you can check on your boarding group number for a virtual queue or make your next lightning lane selection or even mobile order food to beat the lunch rush. Just keep in mind that if you're sweating, your phone's sweating too. So just like how you need to take breaks, your phone needs to take breaks. Make sure to put your phone back in your bag after you're done using it instead of holding on to it to give it some time to cool down, and consider stepping into buildings with AC like gift shops and ride queues when you want to check things on your My Disney Experience app. Also, you may want to get one of those little gel ice packs, not the ones made of ice, but the flexible ones that kids use when they have headaches at school, and put it in your park bag as well, just to make your bag a little cooler for your phone to chill out in, as well as any other techie appliances. The DFB team and I have also been testing out these phone coolers in the parks that we found on Amazon that seem to work pretty well, like this Black Shark phone cooler. This little doohickey attaches to the back of your phone and helps cool it down by blowing air across it, which helps prevent your battery and screen from overheating, similar to a fan on your computer. You can find it over at Amazon for around $25. Okay, you're hot, your phone is hot. You know what else is hot? Your kid. When I went to Disney World toward the end of May, that's when the heat of the summer really started to kick off. We're talking 85 to 95 plus degree days plus that humidity. And I don't think I got 5 to 10 minutes without hearing babies crying because they just didn't want to be in their strollers. But think about it. Depending on the stroller, that material lining the stroller is going to get hot. A lot of those strollers are black, and that's just pulling in the heat. So when the weather's climbing up, there's a good reason your baby might start fighting you when it comes to their stroller. So make sure you're prepared for this by investing in stroller accessories ahead of time. There's like a bazillion of them out there. Stroller covers, clip-on fans, cooling towels, anything else that'll make your baby more comfy during their ride. And parents, you also need to be prepared for when your child still refuses to be in their stroller, because you might wind up having to carry them, which is hard on you when you too are also hot and thirsty and worn out. If there are other adults in your group, take turns passing the kids between adults, if your kid doesn't throw a tantrum in the process, that is. And as stated earlier, take plenty of breaks so you can sit down with them for a bit in the AC as needed. This is where those baby care centers come in handy. Also might be a good idea to invest in a hip carrier. I found hip carriers way back when my kid was about 1.5, maybe 2. They were brand new back then, and it was so handy. It just because my kid didn't want to be in a baby carrier, but he was cool sitting on a hip carrier. So came in so handy, especially when we were walking around New York City and things were just a little bonkers. So you can find a bunch of hip carriers now. They're like fanny packs, but with the ability to give your kid a comfy seat in the process, so you're not kind of holding onto their full weight. You can find these also on Amazon. They're about $40, which is a lot cheaper than it was when I bought it.
Hey everyone, it's Bria, and I've got a confession to make because AJ read this point in the script and she's like, girl, you gotta do this one. You gotta take the heat because it is so me. It is so me. Confession, I can be a bit prideful, especially when it comes to navigating around Disney. I mean, this is my place, y'all. It's my happy place. I love being in the parks, but there's something so different about coming home and writing about these experiences versus actually being in the thick of them. For example, okay, this is where the embarrassment comes in. Hold on. Got it. Okay. I am directionally deprived through and through. Everyone who knows me knows that's like 100% true. So I can tell you in a script how to get from place to place around the parks super easy. But when I'm in the middle of, say, Magic Kingdom and it's hot and I'm overstimulated by everything going on around me, I suddenly find myself blanking and going, so where were those back ways we were talking about a few videos back? Why am I taking this bottleneck path again? Which side of the locker window's on, the left or the right? Fortunately, the moment I'm able to swallow my pride, I can easily get back on track with my day because all I need to do is pull up the My Disney Experience map and it'll show me exactly where I am as well as exactly where I need to go. Also, never be afraid to ask a cast member to point you in the right direction too. That's what they're there for, and they'll be more than happy to help you out. Need help keeping track of all the other parts of your Disney World vacation as well? We've actually got some free Disney World planning worksheets that can help you do just that. Just scan the QR code you see on the screen right now or head over to disneyfoodblog.com/disneyplans after this and we'll send them your way.
Okay, this point. I don't know what it is about this point, but I feel like I have to relearn it every time I'm in the parks. I am a chronically late person. You know that. I've told you that a million times on these videos. And I still can't get it through my head that an attraction is probably going to be longer than I think it is. When you're on a time crunch, that is, it's almost time for your dining reservation or the nighttime spectacular for whatever park you're in. It's going to start in the next half hour or so. That's not the best time to jump in line for a ride or attraction, even if the wait time is projected to be pretty short, because the entire experience could be a lot longer than you think. Take Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor in Magic Kingdom, for example. I had a little bit of time to kill before reconvening with my group who was off riding Mad Tea Party, so I wasn't upset about that. And I saw that the wait for Monsters was just 10 minutes. Easy peasy, right? Well, sure, the initial wait is 10 minutes, and then they file you into a pre-show room, which takes another 10 minutes, and then an actual showroom, which takes another 10 minutes. And in total, I was in Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor for well over half an hour. And when I finally met up with my group, they were like, where were you? Well, not every ride and attraction has a pre-show. The ones that do really wind up skewing that wait time. Like Flight of Passage in Animal Kingdom, for example. If you wait 60 minutes for the ride in the regular queue, you'll have to wait through 2 different pre-shows before finally boarding the ride, which can take an extra 15 to 20 minutes on top of what you've already waited for. But granted, the pre-show is kind of entertaining because you get to be linked to an avatar and learn how you're going to fly. Rise of the Resistance in Hollywood Studios has the longest pre-show of all because the pre-show is part of the entire ride experience, and by the end of it, the ride and pre-show together is going to wind up taking 18 to 20 minutes in total. And that won't factor in the wait time you see posted on the My Disney Experience app, which will only refer to your wait time inside the main queue and nothing else. And then there are the rides that just take longer than you thought they would, period. The new Tiana's Bayou Adventure, for example, is about 11 minutes long, and that's not factoring in any potential delays you might run into while riding this one, which could make your overall ride time even longer, when those logs get backed up. Okay, I think I rest my case. Disney World attractions aren't always a hop on and experience this at the last second sort of ordeal, and don't think that the wait time posted is the only amount of time you're actually going to be kind of tied up on that ride. So if you got dining reservations or there's some other activity you need to get over to soon, I'd say avoid getting into any major show or ride lines once you're an hour out from said reservation, just to make sure you don't find yourself stuck somewhere and missing it entirely. Okay, breaking news. It is okay to like Disney's fast food and admit to it. We review a lot of food on this channel. We review everything in Disney World multiple times. Some of it's adventurous, some of it's fancy, some of it I'm still not sure what it was, but I think maybe I liked it. The blue shrimp from Star Cruiser Days still weirds me out, but whatevs. And yet, this last time I went to Hollywood Studios and my group asked me what sounded good for lunch, all I could think about was a nice, crispy, juicy chicken tender. So that's exactly what we got. We went to Backlot Express, 2 kids' chicken strips with a strawberry-flavored yogurt smoothie, carrot sticks, and a bottle of water. All for $8. And it was so good. Was it fancy and different and unique? Nope. And I get that when you're in Disney, you're going to want to constantly be tracking down fancy and different and unique. But the heart wants what the heart wants, y'all. And sometimes the heart wants what's familiar and a surefire tummy pleaser. I also really enjoy my pit stops at Cosmic Rays, Starlight Cafe, and Magic Kingdom. Again, I'm not claiming this is the best food in all of existence. You know that I always tell you to go to Columbia Harbor House in Magic Kingdom, which I also get chicken tenders there too, but anyway, whatever. But that Greek salad with chicken was filling enough to keep me satisfied, not so heavy that I was going to feel miserable with it sitting like a rock in the bottom of my stomach while having to go brave the heat once more. While I'm all for the festival booths around Epcot, as you know, sometimes I go to Connections Cafe to pick up a chicken sandwich, and it gives me major positive fast food vibes. And this, my friends, is why the team and I created the DFB Guide to Walt Disney World Dining in the first place, because it's not enough for a restaurant to just be tasty. There are a lot of different factors to consider for each family and travel group, and we wanted to create something that addressed all of that, so you could decide with your party what meals you should be planning for before your big visit. If you want to check out this multi-part digital guide for yourself, be sure to head over to dfbstore.com, type in code YouTube to save some extra money on your purchase. Okay, I can talk your ear off about avoiding Starbucks or steering clear of buying overpriced essentials at the Disney gift shops or skipping over all but one of the aerial carousels because they're pretty much all the same. But when I tell you these things, just so you know, I break my own rules all the time. In the summer, I can't help but crave a green tea lemonade from Starbucks when I'm in the parks, so I wait in line and I get one. When I forget or run out of sunscreen, I don't have time to run to a drugstore outside the Disney bubble before my park day, I'm gonna bite the bullet and pay a little extra for a small bottle in the gift shop. If the kid I'm with wants to ride all the aerial carousels in Magic Kingdom, we're talking Dumbo, Magic Carpets, Astro Orbiter, and those wait times are 5 to 10 minutes long and will guarantee a smile on that kid's face, then yeah, I'm not picking just one, we're gonna do them all. There is no shame in breaking the so-called rules to tailor for your specific trip because last-minute decisions may call for just that. I have been on Disney trips, y'all, where I have just ridden buses for entire days because I had a kid who loved riding buses. That's all he wanted to do. He didn't want to ride anything else, just the buses, and so we rode the buses. All that said, I do recommend attempting to plan for some of these things ahead of time if you can, because you really can get sunscreen a lot cheaper outside the Disney bubble, and you can just grab some iced refresher packets from the grocery store too to add to your refillable water bottle and give you a Starbucks dupe. But at the end of the day, you have to make some last-minute calls that directly clash with the advice you've been given, and if that's the case, just know that we've been there, we've done that, and we've lived to tell the tale. So it doesn't matter if this is your first trip to Disney World or your 999th trip, your feet will hurt. When I was in high school, I watched and worked out to these workout videos on my VHS tapes. Ask your parents about those. And on these tapes, there was a trio of fitness instructors named David, Shelley, and Jose. David kept telling me specifically, that just because I was sore after a long workout, it didn't mean I was out of shape if I couldn't necessarily keep up. It just meant that I'd been using different muscles than I was used to, and it would get better the more workouts I did. So let me share this timeless David, Shelley, and Jose wisdom with you too. Even if you're a marathon runner or an aerobics instructor or a shot put Olympic champion, if you haven't been training for theme parks, they have every potential of wiping you out because you're using different muscles than you're used to. So the best thing you can do is be prepared and also let yourself off the hook a little bit. Now, before a trip, I tend to pack 2 to 3 different types of comfy yet sturdy park shoes I can rotate through just in case one pair ends up rubbing my ankle the wrong way after a while or gets super soaked and smelly. It's also not a bad idea to have multiple shoes just because your feet might need a different arch support than one type of shoe can provide for you. So if one shoe hits the arch muscles of your foot one way for thousands of steps, it's not a bad idea to have a different shoe that'll press against the muscles a different way. I don't know if that makes any scientific sense, but I'll tell you, it's made a difference for me. Now, speaking of which, also consider packing some gel inserts to put into your sneakers. These can help give your feet the support they need to make it through an entire park day. However, I don't recommend wearing these kinds of inserts for the first time on a Disney World vacation because it can take a little while for your feet to get used to them. Therefore, ironically, may cause more pain. So break them in before your trip. But yeah, there's no shame in the foot game. You're gonna get blisters, you're gonna need moleskin, and of course you're gonna be sore and you're gonna be tired. It's okay, doesn't mean you're out of shape, doesn't mean that you can't handle it. It just means, this is a normal day for your body, so be prepared. Okay, I guess I can get back to unpacking my suitcase now. I just needed to get all of that off my chest so you could start planning ahead for your own Disney World trips. Remember, we can keep helping you out even after this video wraps up because we've got so many more planning videos on the channel for you to check out next. And don't forget, we've also got those free planning worksheets for you to pick up, which you can get right now over at disneyfoodblog.com/DisneyPlans. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.